Our summer spotlight series continues. I am Dan Scott, the voice of the Paladins. Hope you're enjoying these interviews that we're bringing you in this, what is often characterized as a dead time. But if you're in college athletics or even in professional sports, there really is no off season anymore. And the guy who is joining us as part of our summer spotlight series can tell us that maybe better than anybody else, because soccer, something seems to be going on year round all the time. Is that right, Walker Zimmerman?
That is exactly right. It's a long season, a lot longer than some of our other major sports in the United States. But that comes with the territory. We got to stay fit, got to stay healthy, and it really is a year-round profession.
Well, I tell you what, it is great to see you. Appreciate you carving some time out of what is a very busy schedule to just take a little bit of time with us. How are things? How are you doing? How's the family?
It's great. Tucker, my son, just celebrated his first birthday on last Wednesday. So that's the big milestone around the Zimmerman household. We got the dog, my dog Bear. We got her some training a couple weeks ago, so she is new and improved as well. And then Sally, who also went to Furman. We met at Furman. We're doing great. You know, we celebrated 5 years of marriage on last New Year's Eve. So all is well here in Nashville at the Zimmerman Casa.
If you could just get the kids the same kind of training you can do with the dog, it would make life a little easier, wouldn't it?
I think it's frowned upon to put certain types of collars around your kids. So I'm gonna have to figure out another way.
Amen, brother. Amen. Well, it's good to hear that. Good to hear that things are going well. Let's just talk about where you are right now. I mean, we talked about it being a busy time, and your attention could easily be split because you've got your pro season going on, which you're halfway through right now, and then, oh, by the way, you got the World Cup looming coming up in November. So how do you maintain focus?
It's not easy. Thankfully, it's something that we've had to deal with the past couple of years. Anytime you're involved with the national team, you kind of know what that means. It means you're going to be a lot busier than some of your counterparts who don't have international duty and don't have the international window of games. You know, it's difficult sometimes to realize, oh, I'm not getting these off days, this off season. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. This is the dream, to play in a World Cup, be a part of the national team. So all the hard work, all the extra days that, you know, you are working are so worth it. And in regards to kind of staying present, I know that it's super important to stay in form with my club team. And I know that that's going to translate over onto the field when I take the field with the national team next time. So it's about keeping in rhythm, staying fit, staying healthy, and making sure that, you know, you're trying to get better every day. And that doesn't matter which team you're playing for.
You have to really, I would imagine, be basking in this opportunity that is before you with the men's national team and the World Cup. I would imagine in your 10 years, into your pro career now, and now you're getting an opportunity to do something I'm sure you dreamed of as a kid. It has the reality of it set in. I mean, I know you've been playing the friendlies and you've been doing all the qualifying and everything, but has the reality of it really set in yet?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think it will until I'm on the plane heading over there. You know, anything can happen. So much can change so quickly in this sport that, you know, I'm holding it with open hands, very loosely. Obviously still driven, still focused, but really I'm just going to wait until I step out on the field for the first time in a World Cup match to let it all soak in.
And it kind of goes back to what we were chatting about before we started recording. As a professional athlete, you've got to be able to compartmentalize things, and you have to focus on the task at hand. And right now, the task at hand is the second half of your MLS season. But then you've got a couple of friendlies coming up in Europe soon, and then November. So it would be easy, I would think, to get distracted. But being the high caliber athlete that you are, I know you got to find a way as a professional to keep your mind focused on what you're supposed to be doing in the moment.
100%. And it's, you know, I think compartmentalization, especially, you know, when you're balancing multiple teams is essential. At the same time, it's still the same sport, it's still the same job. So it does overlap, it does blend together in the sense that I'm trying to get better every day at training. And if I do that with the club team, that's only going to help me with the national team. So in that regard, it's exciting because I know I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. If I focus on training well with Nashville, then hopefully I'll be playing well with Nashville. And then that'll kind of translate to the national team. But Yeah, it's not easy. It's especially difficult when you come back from these long trips away. You're gone from your family, from your home for multiple weeks at a time, and then you come back in the middle of that week, and it's like, oh wow, we have a club game this weekend. You've missed the previous games, and it's a quick reacclimation to what you're used to.
What were your dreams growing up
Always,
when it came to this sport?
right. Yeah. For me, I always said I wanted to be a professional athlete. That's what it was, ever since I can remember. I've always loved competing. I've always loved sports. It didn't turn into professional soccer player until probably 8th grade. That's kind of when everything shifted for me. I recognized that soccer was probably my best chance to become a professional athlete. And I quit the other sports that I was playing, basketball and baseball, and put all my attention into soccer. And from that point on, it became the World Cup. That was the dream. And so, as you mentioned, it's hard to not get ahead of yourself and to think, oh, I've made it, I'm here, and it's really close, but it's not here yet. And so I'm not celebrating. I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm focused on day in, day out, showing up, and that's hopefully going to ultimately lead to playing in Qatar.
So you made that commitment. Obviously, it paid off in getting the opportunity to play at Furman, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. But you're getting a chance to live that childhood dream. So what's it like for you now when you read stories or see specials done on TV, on ESPN or Fox or whatever, where they're talking about you as being a glue guy for the men's national team and how important you are? Is that surreal in your mind at all?
I don't know that it's surreal. I think it's something that I've always envisioned for myself as a possibility, as an opportunity. But I would say I'm continuously becoming even more grateful for this amazing career that it's turned into. I'm very grateful for the clubs that I've played for, the coaches that I've played for, the fans that have supported me, and ultimately all of those things combined have led to this moment, to this season, to have this chance. So, people can say never my wildest dreams would I've imagined playing in the World Cup, and for me, I think it's a little bit different. I've always visualized myself scoring game winners in a World Cup, being a captain of the national team. Like, those are things that I saw as my dream, but I saw it as a realistic opportunity. And so to have that come true, I mean, that's where I get really grateful, because it really is rare. And I think I am recognizing that it really is unique and special to have your dream come true in such a way.
We know that it's not just talent alone that gets you to the position you're in. It takes motivation, it takes drive, it takes dedication, it takes focus, it takes all of those things. But when it comes to just sheer athletic talent and talent for the game, was there a moment early in your life, earlier in your career, when the light bulb went on and you thought to yourself, yeah, I can do this?
I think it probably was. I guess it was a little bit before I quit the other sports, to be honest. I was playing rec soccer right around U10, and we had the director of boys coaching kind of watching me play, and spoke to my parents afterwards. And the line that has always stayed with me, I've said it multiple times, is he said, right now, Walker is an athlete who plays soccer, and I want him to become a soccer player who's also an athlete. And so I think my game and the way that I compete, the way that I move, the way that I anticipate, a lot of that comes from excelling in other sports growing up and playing basketball, playing baseball. And those things they've really helped me to be aggressive, to have a mentality, to lock someone down 1v1 in basketball. Like, I get that same feeling when I'm defending in space 1v1 on a soccer field. It's like, wait, you're not getting by me, and we're going to go the other way. We're going to counter. We're going to get a goal. Like, it's the same concept. And so I think that the light bulb for me really clicked when he said that, and I recognized, okay, I understand that. But two, when I probably dropped the other sports and committed to this thing full time.
You get a chance to be your own one-man full court press, right?
Exactly.
Walker Zimmerman with us on our Furman Summer Spotlight series. So let's talk about your Furman career. When was the first time you met the guy with the funny accent, Doug Allison?
I met Doug at a Region 3 ODP trip to Argentina. We were U15s, so I was probably 14 years old. I believe I was my sophomore year of high school, so maybe I was 15. I don't remember exactly where it was along that timeline, but I met him on that trip. I loved, his personality, the way he interacted with the players on the team. We really hit it off well. I had a lot of respect for him. I think he had a lot of respect for me in the way that I kind of went around my business. And ultimately, that led to going on some visits my sophomore year of high school, where I went to a lot of schools, driving in the car with my parents, doing some unofficial visits while all my friends were, having their own spring breaks, going to the beach, hanging out with friends. And I was just in the car with my parents driving to colleges. So Furman was obviously on that list because of Doug, because of the history of the men's program and the players that they had produced. And so I went there not really expecting much of anything. I thought it was going to be, it's an unofficial visit. I'm a sophomore, and Doug ended up offering me a full ride that visit. And I was, no, he offered me to come back the next weekend for the alumni weekend. And so I came back that weekend and he ended up offering me a full ride as a sophomore in high school. And kind of, I think, what took me away was the opportunity that, he wanted to create something special together. And I thought that he was putting a lot of emphasis on my ability to recruit friends and other top players as well, that I thought was really appealing. And so at Furman, we pulled in a top 5 recruiting class for my incoming freshman year. And, while I didn't get to take part in the championships that they won later, since I left a little early, it was really rewarding to see all those fellow freshmen, my class end up winning, SoCon championship after I left.
What was part of the attraction, not just to Furman, but the connection with Doug and trying to connect where your soccer dreams were, the fact that he has so many international connections because he is from the other side of the pond. Did that play into your decision at all?
I don't know that I was thinking as much about the international connections at the time. I think for me, the biggest factors were the way he interacted with myself and other players on that ODP trip, that I thought was that's a coach that has integrity. That's a coach that I would love to play for. And then it kind of turned into, okay, what a recruiter he is. He wanted to partner in that arena together and go after, top players in the country and kind of make a name and make another run at creating something really special at Furman. And all of that was very appealing. And then obviously he's produced winning teams. And so I wanted to win. And that definitely played a part into it as well. So when you combine all those things, proximity to home, proximity to my brother who was at Clemson at the time, it just felt right. And it felt like a good fit for me. And I have no regrets looking back.
So then how does that experience, brief as it was, because as you said, you left early, but how does that experience then lead to the big moment that we celebrated here not too long ago, where you and your wife have endowed this major scholarship for the soccer program, men's soccer program at Furman University? How did the two connect?
I think a lot of it is the experiences that I had while I was at Furman. It's obviously very special to both, Sally and I, and that's special too, because it's not often that, your wife's going to be as passionate about supporting the soccer team as you are. And thankfully, after I left, I know she was always involved in making guys on the team cookies or anything after a win. The soccer program was important to her as well. And so that made it, an easier decision, but also just supporting and being grateful for the team, the university that gave me a chance, gave me an opportunity that I otherwise would not have been able to come to Furman if it wasn't for the soccer program. And so to hopefully give back and give someone else the exact same opportunity that I had, I mean, that makes me feel, it's really rewarding to be in the position to give back and give someone else that opportunity. So we're really excited about it. We love being a part of the Furman community, and especially the Furman men's soccer team, and always rooting for them on and off the field.
And you mentioned your wife, Sally. I think it's important that we give a nod to her, because anytime somebody in your position says, honey, I want to write a great big check to the athletic department, specifically to the men's soccer program at Furman, it helps if she was there as well, and if she is behind everything you're trying to accomplish.
Definitely. It's it's something that you get to talk about together, pray through together, and to have her just as excited as I was really special.
We're visiting with Walker Zimmerman on our Furman Summer Spotlight series. It's halfway through the MLS season. He's got a couple of World Cup friendlies coming up in Europe in the not too distant future, and then the World Cup itself in November. And we're trying to tie all of that together in a short period of time on this Zoom interview. And again, I appreciate you taking the time. Force Jordan Caskey kind of roped you and I both in over this past weekend to see if we could pull this off. And I know with your schedule, finding some time was difficult. So I just wanted you to know how much we appreciate it.
Of course.
So let's talk about moving forward toward the World Cup. You've got 2 friendlies left before the actual World Cup starts, right?
That's correct. We play Saudi Arabia and Japan over in Europe in late September, and those are going to be our last two friendlies prior to the start of the World Cup, where we'll be in a group with Wales, England, and oh my goodness, Wales, England, and Iran.
How do you? We talked about balance with what you're trying to do and how the seasons overlap. How do you build a team chemistry in the World Cup when you're also doing your MLS thing, and how does all of that come about?
It's a really special group, and guys who have there's been a lot of change since Greg took over in 2019. We've had a lot of players come in and out of that pool, and as we got closer and closer to qualifying, the group started to form a little bit more to where we have between 30 to 40 players who will get called in at any given time, and we've gotten really close. I think that's the nature of CONCACAF qualifying. It's not easy. It's difficult. You're going through the mud with your teammates, and you're playing must-win games and building that chemistry naturally through competing and representing this country in soccer. So you grow a bond automatically there, and then I think once we qualified, it just intensified. And so this last set of friendlies was really fun. We had 4 games in June. 2 were friendlies, 2 were a part of our Nations League, opening group stages for Nations League. So we had 4 games in a short window, and it was just so good to see the guys. And it was a really fresh camp. Just, you don't have the pressure of qualifying on you. You're kind of reuniting in the summer. European players are just finished with their season, so they're ready for their little break. And it's just a really good group. A lot of youth, a lot of energy, a lot of personalities. And so I think we're all very excited for what'll be pretty much all of us, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 players, our first World Cup.
You talked about new coach, a lot of turnover, new enthusiasm with the men's national team. This country has been waiting for the signature moment for this U.S. men's national team. So from your perspective, why is this the team that could provide that signature moment?
I think there's a fearlessness about this group. Like I mentioned, none of us really have World Cup experience, but that doesn't mean we don't have big game experience. There's a lot of players on our roster that have played in high level matches, won a lot of trophies, both domestic and abroad. And it's, again, a group that gets along very well together. I think we're willing to sacrifice, individual performances and efforts for the collective. And anytime you have a buy-in like that, I think you have a good chance of making a run. And I think there's definitely a lot of belief in this group.
I've heard college coaches talk about freshmen or professional coaches in various sports talking about rookies who just light it up and saying one of the advantages is they don't know what they don't know. And you kind of alluded to that. Not a lot of World Cup experience among this group. So is there an advantage to not knowing what you don't know?
I think so. I mean, it's just because we don't have that experience. I think the upside of what we have is confidence. We have a lot of guys, as I mentioned, who have played in big games, done very well in big games, and we have confidence as a group. We've had a very good track record over the past couple of years, beating some high level opponents, and so we're ready for anything. We know it's going to be a difficult group. We know it's going to be a challenge over in Qatar in November, but it's a challenge that I think we're all prepared for. And like I said, it's not only my dream, it's everyone else's dream to play in a World Cup. So the motivation will be there for sure.
You don't have necessarily the World Cup experience, but I mean, you've got what, 30 plus games now on the international scene. So it's not like you're devoid. I'm talking about you personally. It's
Right.
not like you're devoid of international experience.
Definitely. Yeah, you know, I feel comfortable. I feel any game I'm going to go into, I'm going in with the same objective. That's to win. That's to compete. That's to make sure that my teammates will feed off of my energy and competitiveness, and that, you know, I can make others around me better. And if I can do that on a consistent basis, then, you know, if we all can do that on a consistent basis, then we'll be in a good spot.
What does it mean to you to be only the third Furman University soccer player to compete in the World Cup? The other two, of course, Ricardo Clark and Clint Dempsey, who's heralded as maybe the best U.S. men's soccer player of all time. What does it mean to you to be in that exclusive group representing Furman University?
It's elite company and guys that I've looked up to and obviously played a part in my attending Furman. You know, when anytime you have such high caliber players come through university, you have to pause and think, okay, well, one, why did they go there? Two, how did they become the players that they are today? And so you look at that development, you look at you know, who they are as players, and that affects future decisions. So I hope that, you know, players coming out of high school now will look at Furman and hopefully add my name to that list and see, okay, there's a pedigree here of players who have made it possible and have made it to the big stage. So excited to be a part of that group come November and officially, you know, get a World Cup appearance like those two. But it's really humbling and exciting for sure.
Last thing I want to ask you about before we let you go, ESPN did a huge expose article on you recently, and one of the things that they talked about in there is how you married faith with what you do professionally, and talked about when you got traded to Nashville, you had barely been there when the tornadoes hit, and you just immersed yourself into the community, even though you really didn't know anybody there, to help rebuild areas that had been decimated by the storms. Just tell me about the role that faith plays in who Walker Zimmerman is.
I think it's really important. I think it gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me, you know, a sense of doing what's right and loving people well. And what does that really look like? How can I treat people the way that Jesus treated people? That's the goal of all this, is to kind of reflect that back onto him. And so for me, a lot of it is, you know, what I feel really passionate about is helping others become the best version of themselves, and helping them find that purpose, find that calling, and find a way to pour in, you know, that we have one life, you know, and how can I hopefully do that for myself, but also for others, is help them maximize that one life. And so it just creates a lens, it creates a perspective that I think has been really important for me and for my family. And so, you know, I just hope, my hope and prayer is for that to inspire other people to become the best versions of themselves and to love others well.
Well, I can tell you this, my friend, as we wrap it up, the best version of Walker Zimmerman is pretty darn impressive. It's great to see how things are going for you. And obviously the entire Furman family is going to be rooting for you and this national team to stand some people on their heads once we get going.
Can't wait for it.
All right, Walker, thank you very much. That is Walker Zimmerman. This has been the latest in our summer spotlight series here at Furman. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody.